Okay, just update here for the injuries. So Michael Hoyt will be out for the year with the Achilles. He'll go on IR. Gabe Davis, we'll see how he does this week in terms of his status as we move forward. And then got 3 players that are all improving that we'll see how they do this week. So Daquan Jones, Josh Palmer, and Shaq Thompson. That's what I have for you. So with that, I'll turn it over to you for your questions.
Are you expecting them to be on the practice field at all this week?
Those 3?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. In some capacity, Joe. I don't know at this point yet what that looks like for sure.
What did the film tell you about your defense's performance last night?
I thought they played really hard. Played together. There's a couple plays in there that I know I want back, and I'm sure they want back as well. All in all, it was a heck of an effort.
I know there's a lot of good to focus on, but what happened on the 4th down, that 4th and 17 play? What was the breakdown there?
Yeah, just rushing coverage. I mean, when you have that amount of time, it's hard to cover for that long. In theory, if we cover a little bit better, if we rush a little bit better, those two can marry up like they were for most of the game. Some of the big plays is where it broke down, that one included. So those are things we need to get corrected.
Think about Maxwell kind of getting thrust back into it in a game like that. I know it was the second game back, big moment for him. How do you think he handled the process leading up to that game, and then asking him to play 50% of the snaps against that team specifically in game? What did you notice from that?
It was not too big for him. That's a good thing, and again, he's got a really good support group around him, from his coaches to his teammates, and he's a team guy, so he knows he has to earn his way, and that's an important piece, an important part of his mindset. So just good to see him have success. I'm sure helps his confidence, and sometimes you work hard, you don't always you don't always get a breakthrough moment like that early. So that's good. Now we got to go back to being humble and staying with his process.
The one player you bring up was Taryn. What's the expectation for him this week?
Yeah, one day at a time. Don't know for sure. Kind of like those other guys. I failed to mention them. So yeah.
How did you feel that Cam Lewis filled in for Taryn last night?
Yeah, I thought he did a good job. Cam's a competitor. He plays multiple positions for us. I think it was the second play of the game. They went over the middle on him, and he broke it up there, or made it a contested situation. So I thought he played very competitively and tough, and made some big-time tackles for us and plays on the ball.
Historically, or trade deadlines passed, but what is usually the process, or how you get involved? Is it late, early? I mean, what can you just...
Me as a coach, you mean? I kind of have some conversations with Brandon. He really runs the point on it. So, he'll brief me on some things, maybe some thoughts, maybe some kind of irons in the fire that he wants me to wants my opinion on. So, or he'll have me look at someone or a couple of guys. So that's kind of my involvement on it. Like I said, he runs point on it. So.
Does he come to you with these things, or do you come to him? Meaning, I'm just trying to guess what the relationship's like, because there is such if they do acquire somebody, or you're about to lose somebody,
yeah, this
is going to affect your day-to-day life, the organizations. But it's his job to go get that guy. So I'm just wondering, does he just let you know when something's close, or do you?
Well, I think over the years, what I've understood is I share my vision for the team, where I think we're at, where I think we could use some help, and then we back and forth in conversation style there, and then he does his work and with his staff as well, and they do most of the work naturally, because we're game planning every week and whatnot. So it's I believe my job is to share where I believe our team is and what we need to do moving forward. So from there, it's really his kind of his stage, really. So.
Coach, I know trench play is very important to you. The offensive line had another good game against a top 10 defense. How important is Aaron Cromer to your operation and what you do?
Yeah, he's highly important. He's a ton of experience coaching offensive line, coaching on offense overall. Once being a coordinator as well, so I think that helps. He can see the big picture, and I'm sure Joe would echo the same sentiments about Chrome. And quality coaches like that are hard to find. So it's been a great reunion, if you will, and with him and his family here, I've enjoyed like our family getting to know his family, and he's been a big asset to us.
You mentioned with Hoyt going down last night how other guys will need to step up and that sort of thing. How do you feel about that group? Obviously, Joey and Greg had a big night last night, but how do you feel about the group behind them?
Yeah, confident in those guys, and we know every week you got to find a way to win. So you got to manufacture it different ways, and I thought the guys last night that were in there with Michael being one of them, and Larry, and then we had Mathis in there as well, and so it's every week. It's the journey in the NFL. How do you shape a plan that uses the strengths of the players, and then they got to come together and execute it. So the journey is the journey, and we've lost some guys, and so and some of those guys aren't able to come back too. So we've got to continue to try and figure this thing out to where we can piece it together week to week and find ways to win. And I thought the guys did a really good job of that last night, staff included.
How's Michael doing from a mental perspective of, coming back after the suspension, having limited time, and then being out for the season? How is he doing?
Michael Hoyt, you talking about? Yeah, I mean, he's disappointed. He's, looked forward to this, these moments because he was out early in the year, right, with his suspension. So, and to get off to such a fiery start and impact the team in such a influential way in such a short amount of time. Now, there's when you go through a situation like that, it's a natural disappointment. It's a shame. It really is. You never want to see anyone get hurt. Our team, another team, and so it's a hard job. And these guys put a lot on the line, and then there's this huge moment of disappointment. But he is as tough as they come, and it's important that we are there to support him all the way through this.
Sean, you mentioned last night after the game that you said you're not where you need to be. I'm assuming kind of just collectively as a team. Now that you're at week 9, kind of the midway point of the season, do you feel that you are at least closer to that than maybe say you were going into the bye week?
Yes. Yeah, I do. And it's really I think the piece that we are learning about ourselves is how we need to do things collectively as a team in order to put ourselves in a position to play good football and to play winning football. Whether that means we win or not, again, as you've always heard me say, the results sometimes can be variable, but we have to put ourselves in that position. There's a how that gets you there, and so that's one of the things that I believe our team is learning right now.
What did you see that went into helping the passing game be so efficient and Josh to have that kind of completion percentage?
Well, I thought it starts with the staff, the offensive staff putting together, led by Joe, a really good plan. Players understanding it. Josh looked very in control of knowing what he was seeing out there, and you combine that with our ability to run the football, and it gets all of a sudden really hard to defend. And Spags does a lot of things. He's very multiple in terms of his looks, very multiple in terms of his pressure schemes, and the communication between the offensive line and the skill players, Josh, in terms of protection and what they were seeing is critical, and they did a great job of executing that at the line of scrimmage. So I believe that was a big-time step for us in the right direction as well as an offensive unit. So a lot of work went into that through the week, and so now it's time to turn the page and be ready to execute that again.
What has Jordan Hancock shown you between games to earn more of your trust and the defensive staff's trust? And what did you think about how he handled some more reps?
Yeah, it's exciting to watch these young players. I'm going through the defensive film, and with the defensive staff and in the room, and just watching players, we get a stop and players coming off the field, and you got Cole out there in the back end, you got Max, you got Jordan Hancock, some young guys out there that haven't played a whole lot of football, and you're excited for them because you see them and their excitement and they're having fun out there, and yet there's these other plays or moments where you're like, that's not exactly how we want it to look, but you get a chance to get them in and teach them, and they sit down and learn from it, and again, it's all part of the kind of refining process as we go, and I'm excited about that. At the same time, we've got to continue to learn on the job here.
I know you don't like to go too much into scheme, and you can tiptoe around this however you want, but, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. No, yes, exactly. Your defense hit Patrick Mahomes 14 times yesterday. You guys played a ton of dime with DBs on the field. How much did you have to kind of, for lack of a better term, have to go into your bag to have that kind of plan and execution? And how confident are you that, I don't want to say replicate it, but maybe do it again in the playoffs if you meet the Chiefs again in the playoffs?
One game at a time, I would say. That's kind of the general blanket statement. It's really trying to win one game at a time, though. It really is. And sometimes plans stay the same. Sometimes plans change. That's what makes this league so difficult, is people change week to week, and the challenge changes week to week. So, and sometimes your personnel, through injuries and everything, and what you have available to you, you may want to do something, but you don't have certain players healthy enough to do it. So you have to find another way. That's what I meant by, part of what I meant by saying we have to figure out a way to win every week. So it's a moving target, if that makes sense, but it's also part of the challenge every week that we as a staff look forward to, and I think our players do also, because these guys are raised by continual challenges that are out in front of them every step of the way, and you saw our team respond to a pretty darn big challenge last night.
You were asked about the defense, and you were talking about the attitude. It seemed to be that there was an emphasis or kind of a visceral reaction when you used the word attitude. Is that limited to your defense, though? Is this maybe an organizational or the entire roster? Like, you feel you're playing with your attitude or your identity that is now coming around?
I would say yes. I would agree with that. It's a collective mindset that the team is beginning to take on, and I think enjoy being kind of wired that way. So that's a good thing. That needs to continue, though, because winning is hard enough. Schemes are one thing, but how you do things it connects everything else that we're trying to do. Scheme, ball, the taking care of the football, all those things are connected through this identity of how we do things.
I know we've asked a couple of times about Dorian Strong. Do you have any more clarity on his situation?
I do have some more clarity. It's not good in terms of the reports and everything, so I don't want to get into where it may go, but it's not moving in the direction we would like it to at this point, but I'll stop there just out of respect for Dorian at this point. We've just been, he and I have had some conversations over the last few days, and I wish the reports were better at this point, but that's where we're at right now. So.
Directions, TJ Sanders, I know another week here, we're approaching when he can maybe get back. How's he trending?
Yeah, seems to be moving in a good direction. It's one of those deals where, sometimes as we get closer to being on the green light, if you will, I'll get more communication from the medical staff, from the trainer, Nate in this case. Right now I'm not getting a whole lot from them, which means we're probably still a little bit in the middle of it, with a week, 2, maybe 3. I'm not really sure yet, so I don't really have a better, more definitive answer for you. All right, thank you guys.